Hey, welcome guys to another little video. Sorry for the little delay and everything else. I had to buy myself a new microphone and things, but we're going to get back to recording and back to the good stuff. Now, today's is going to be over the weapon script, so we can get a little bit of kickback and, stuff like that. And why is that being slow? We got our movement here, and we're also going to deal with how we've got hardly any sway, like right here. Alright. And we're going to get to that. Alright. So, in our first little thing, we're going to talk about how this is set up. This is set up in several transforms. Okay, because I work in layers and stuff. And two, you cannot manipulate transforms multiple times. Like, you can't have one script do positioning data and then another script do positioning data. It just doesn't work. It goes all stupid and dumb. So we've got our main object, which just does scripts. We've got a move object, which does positional stuff for zooming and things like that. That's all that transform is responsible for. And then we got a sway object. This does nothing but for swaying left and right and our nice little movement. That's all it's responsible for. And then we have our main transform for our gun. Now this one does not do anything by itself. If you had a prefab that you animated, usually you import it and you'll have nothing but a transform and an animation component. So it's nothing but going in here, going into models, and you pull in a game object like this, and it's got nothing here but, remember me saying, animation in this, and that's all it's got. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, why am I doing this? This transform, I'm using it for a kickback. Okay. Do not use scripts to manipulate the transform below your animational component parent object. Like, if you have your object like right here and you go to down here to your skin and things like that and your other stuff, no, don't do that. It does not work correctly. It will mess up and be really dumb. I'm serious. It'll be really, really dumb. Use it on this, it will be fine, okay? But we're not going to be going over that script. What we're going to be going over is our player weapons. That's the only script that we're going over because it's long. And it's not exactly all done. But it's done enough to be able to give you guys a good starting point. So let's talk about this class right here first. Okay. Gun Delta Timer is a private class owned by the player weapons class. You don't have to add it to a component or anything else. All this class is responsible for is counting down floats. That's it. And setting floats. So private class, we use system.serializable so we can see it in the inspector. And we take these private variables right here, and we decrease them in on update call, which is called from another script, but you know how to call this from another script, like the weapon script. I'll show you later on. All this does is go through these if statements and decrease them to below 0. If they're greater than 0, it just deducts them from time.delta time. So it just makes them go to 0. And we have public calls right here, public void, where we pass in a float. And all this does is take action timer, add some amount to it. So it'll be greater than 0, and that's all it does. Okay, so is done is, hey, is a public bool yes or no question. For each one of these timer variables, we want to know, hey, are they 0 yet? Or are they above 0? If they're above 0, we return false. If they're greater than 0, we return true. Well, no, that's backwards. If it's greater than 0, we return false because it's not done. If it's less than 0, we return true. And then we do the other stuff all the same. Sound is done, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all it does. It's pretty self-explanatory. The update, you're setting it, is it done? And that's it. So we basically duplicated this, but with different names each time for each one of these timers. Now we have variables: range, speed, layer mask, new damage, fire time, fire sound time, close time. You know, all these are floats. Pretty simple. In gun and max, pretty explanatory. I don't think I reference this at all, do I? No. So we're going to call this clip size then. That'll probably... Why does that look like chip size to me? It's probably spelled right. Oh well. Ammo, this isn't being used yet. Is reloading, pretty self-explanatory. M handler is a interface. That's all that this is. And you guys can copy it. Initial, move, run, aim control. Self-explanatory. And then controller. Firing, jump, heal, run, zoom, get lock. This is the inputs are explained in soldier inputs and movement. The video, if you do not know what this is and how to write it, please go watch the video on soldier inputs and soldier movement. It basically writes the code for that. I'm not going to go over it in this video because that would be over redundancy, which would make this video very, very long. Then we just got audio clips. Pretty self-explanatory with the name. And then our sway. This is there's a video right now that's called Weapon Sway. This is the child class for it. The only thing that you guys wouldn't have is this call right here, which we'll be going over that script again. I just am not going to go over a script twice. That's just dumb. Rotation cast thing, camera, normal bullet, metal bullet, offset, and these are pretty self-explanatory. Sway object, kick transform, kick amounts, pretty self-explanatory. And then we do the get component calls, and our initial call, handler, initial, camera. Our sway, initial, we give it a sway object. And we do that gun timer, set action timer, we pass it close. Because we need it to call this up, because when we first pull out our gun, we may do a charge. So we need this to happen only once. That's why it's in start instead of on enable, because start only gets initialed one time. So if you spawn this in, twice, you'll still get the call start twice, because if you unequipped it and then re-equipped it, it will go, hey, this is a new object. So gun delta timer, gun timer, pretty self-explanatory. If we're not running and is reloading equals false, then we return true. Because weapon clear, we need it to be clear to be able to, you know, hey, is it not reloading? If reloading is true, then this goes, hey, false. If we're running, hey, false. That's pretty much it. Running, true, and then we're doing handler.run. And you guys know what that does. This will zoom out our weapon and make it where it's not like, hey, you know how when we're zoomed in, our gun's really close to the screen. We need a function to be called in order to tell it, hey, don't do this anymore. Please go and zoom this out so that we can play the run animation. If we had a lock cursor, this would be where it would be, but we don't right now, so I think this function automatically returns true all the time, saying we're locked up. But we bail out early, so none of this other stuff gets called. If we're firing, if our input says we're firing, we want to fire, and weapon clear equals true, so the weapon is clear to fire, and gun timer dot is done equals true, then we do this stuff. We set our timer to increment, you know, so we can't shoot like every single frame, which would be ridiculous. We shoot, we call fire, the fire function, which does, hey, if our ammunition is greater than 0, we do ray. If the gun sound timer is less than 0, it returns true. So we play the sound, and then we increment it so it will return false the next time this gets called. Or if it, you know, if the timer gets put down to 0 again by the update. This is a way where, you know, you can make it so it doesn't, like, let's say if you have a gun that shoots every single frame. Well, you can't have the sound every single frame playing because they're just going to overlap and it'll sound really, really bad. So what I did was I made the timer class step it up. You know, like, hey, it may do it every 3 frames, 4 frames, or every 0.5 seconds. You know, whatever you want to put for the timer, that's what it does. It just keeps it from overlapping, that's all. Which is kind of nice. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of nice. And if our ammo in our gun is 0, then it calls empty. Which empty just plays dry fire. That's all it does. And okay. So we called about that. And kick transform. Okay. Local position. Then we add a vector into it. You can't plus this automatically. Like, let's say you want to do something like this. Not a valid operation. In order to add something into it, which this might let you, but I doubt it, is plus equals. That might let you. Yeah, that'll let you. It probably won't act right, though. But how I got it written is... Okay, come on. Don't make me write this all over. Ah, there we go. And we did it to the local Euler angles. And remember this note. Don't put negative numbers in our kick amount. It will freak out and look broken as something. Sorry, this channel is PG. I don't want to be cussing and stuff like that, because not all our viewers will probably appreciate that. So it's got to stay PG. I'm sorry, guys, but it's just the way it is. And then else, if we're not firing, it calls handler.move. Now we have another thing in here. Don't try to put this else and have the if here. Okay? Because I'll tell you what. Else if like this will not work because it's not another else statement. Okay? It has to be its own little if. Because it's its own little function. I want these to run in parallel. Okay? I don't want it to stop somewhere. Okay? So if our zoom equals true, we call handler.zoom control. We pass it true. Okay? And we call sway aim. Okay? From a sway variable, we call sway.aim. If it's false, then we do the opposite. Except we call sway update. So this is the aiming function that runs every single frame. Okay? When we're zooming, and when we're not zoomed, it calls a different type of sway function every single frame. So we can have two different functions to adjust how much sway needs to be. So we can, in our sway script, we can have one that does sway for the aim and have our own variables for just that specific thing, and clamp it and make it look, kind of stiffen it up and things, make it look good. But when we're just running around or something like that, we'll call sway update, when we're regular. When we're doing the run, we're probably going to have a function inside the sway script for just running. That way it's kind of clamped in a certain way, so our arms may not go off the rails or whatnot. But that all depends on what you want to do. So we got our input keys .r if reloading equals false, and timer if the timer equals false, like saying hey, then we're going to increment the timer. That's all it's going to do. It's just basically just like we did the shooting function. Okay, after we shoot, we increment the fire timer to be above it. That's it. It's as simple as that gets. And we're calling guntimer.onUpdate. Fire, we already went through this. We didn't do ray mask, which I've done this script several different times, several different ways. So I'm just going to put this on the script, on the screen, and you guys should be able to interpret that pretty good. Okay? You guys can just pause it, because that's all that does. Camera directional stuff, tags, things like that. I've done this script many other times in a video, so I'm pretty sure you guys know what this all is. Range, vector, that kind of stuff. Okay, so pause the video right here and copy it down. It may be a little small for you guys, and I'm sorry, but this is the only way that I can get it to fit on the screen. Maybe if I do this. Okay, and go down a little. Yeah, that gets it all on there. And the next thing doesn't do anything. Bullet hole just returns an object. So it tells it what to do. That's it. Destroy this get noise. This just does a random.range on a vector 3 on the X and the Y. Doesn't do it to the Z. The Z is automatically 1 because that's forward and backwards. That's useless for us. And then we just return. mean, we're just doing a random.range off of vector 2. Gun timer we did. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, actually, here's that new function right there. When our sway aim, float, we get it off the inputs and stuff it into a variable. Then we go into our tilts right here and we clamp it. Mouse X, which is our variable, and we clamp it between the mouse min max. Okay, these are vector 2s that go negative 0.20 to positive 0.20. And I just did this just to make it very easy. Okay. And this just does X and Y. The X being the minimal and the Y being the maximum. And in my smoothing, I divide it by 2. But you can always have yourself another variable for the smoothing. I found it cut in half worked well for me. But if it doesn't, then just make yourself another variable up here. You know, like serializable field, float, smoothing, smooth aim equals 2.5 F, possibly. And this will be public anyway, so. Well, it won't be public, but it'll be in the inspector anyway. And there you go. That's it. It's very simple. I'll tell you what, I make some pretty simple scripts that are pretty powerful sometimes. And you guys know, I put a lot of thought into this stuff sometimes. My throat is getting all dry. Oh, man, that's horrible. Horrible. I need to go get me a drink. But I can't pause because this recording software does not have a pause. I swear, OBS needs to make a pause. They need to make a pause button for it. It would be so nice. They make it where you can mute and stop recording, but they don't make a pause. Not even OBS Studio does it, which kind of sucks. So we've got our weapon script and we've got our sway script. Okay, I'm not going over the handler because that script deserves its own video because it's going to be a whole lot of talking in that one. And my throat is very dry and very scratchy feeling. So, thanks guys for watching. And I appreciate you guys being patient and subscribing and all that good stuff. If you guys haven't noticed, I've been working on doing better thumbnails and better videos and you know, more planning and stuff for you guys. So it takes a little bit of time. And I'm getting freer and freer in time. So I'm going to have a lot more. Hopefully we'll have some RimWorld episodes up for you guys. So, you know, you guys got some gaming content and then you got some programming content. You know, just something to switch it up. But thanks guys for watching. This is War over and out, and peace, and like, hit subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. It helps, and trust me, I greatly appreciate it because I've seen a significant difference in my channel in the last 3 weeks with better thumbnail and better recording and stuff. I've seen, you know, when I put in a lot of work into a video, it really does show that you guys appreciate, and, you know, I'm giving you my word that I'm going to try to keep that quality up. So thanks guys, and peace out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next posting.